But now getting on to the last topic and stuff. NVIDIA earnings will explode some stuff. So NVIDIA, I've been talking about AMD so much. It's not even funny. So I'm gonna be talking about how about NVIDIA now. Uh, NVIDIA hasn't gotten the shine that it's gotten that AMD has gotten all year long so far. So this is the shine they really get in NVIDIA. That it's the first news that I've seen regarding of it and any updates around it. So before we dive in, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share for the algorithm. I really appreciate it very much. So, but let's just dive in and see what they say.
Into all this and bring back in our friend, Funstrat managing partner and head of research, Tom Lee. Are we wrong to say that NVIDIA matters to the overall market?
NVIDIA is hugely important. A lot of eyes are on tomorrow, as you said, and it's going to be very telling us about how much firepower still exists in the market. If NVIDIA has a great report and rallies, I think it's going to confirm we're not really at the top of the first half 2024 market top. But there's an equal chance that NVIDIA has a great number and the stock sells off. And I think that's going to tell us perhaps a lot of the buying power is used up. So I think it's very important.
Yeah, here's the thing about NVIDIA, and I'll give my take, and you say, no, Sullivan, you're wrong as usual, which is NVIDIA will probably beat street estimates on EPS and sales. Okay, they do every quarter. It's a measure, I suspect, of obviously the guidance matters a ton, but how much they beat by. This could be a time, Tom, where we see a company blow away estimates and it still not be good enough.
Yes. Anecdotally, I'm finding a lot of our clients thinking the company is going to beat and sell off, which tells me
exactly what I just said.
Yes. And that's why I actually think the bigger surprise would be NVIDIA rallies tomorrow, and it shows there's still legs left in the rally of the first half. But that's just an anecdote.
How much matters in the guidance versus the actual quarterly numbers last quarter?
All of it's going to matter. And as you know, because a lot of things have been priced into it, people are going to look for little wrinkles and, blemishes. So a lot is priced in. But, I think if there is a sell-off, I actually think it's going to be viable for the most part.
And you've been bullish. You've been right. You've been out there with there's like a couple of you guys that were on your own island for most of 2023. It's a very lonely place, by the way.
Yeah.
But you survived, like Tom Hanks. You had a volleyball as a friend, and you've prospered. You still remain bullish for the year.
Yes.
Castaway reference.
Is NVIDIA the biggest risk to the market? Is the Fed the biggest risk to the market? Is the election the biggest risk to the market? We have to factor in the macro stuff. What do you think most about?
I think the Fed's the biggest risk because the market needs to broaden, and it's going to broaden when interest rate cuts start to get priced and investors begin to think about that roadmap.
See, this makes a lot more sense because we just talked about Tesla and their layoffs recently. Mind you, all these companies did layoffs. All of them did. So this is what you have to think of now. Magnificent Seven right here. Tesla misses. Everybody knew they were gonna miss. They missed the estimate. They missed revenue. They missed all this stuff. Tesla's just doing terrible right now. They're doing so bad right now. They might have to get dropped off from that Magnificent Seven, become six, or like include another company up in there because all the rest of them you see they just beaten. But I think what the problem is, Nvidia is the last one to share its earnings and stuff. So even if it does beat it, how impressive is it? If all these other companies beat something, he beat their numbers, how much more impressive is it for them to beat them too? And I think it depends on the margin. So since with all the news going on around Nvidia and AMD and all this new AI chip manufacturing and stuff, I think people were subconsciously like, "Hey, we expect you to beat it. You should beat it, but you should beat it by an astronomically amount." And that's not typically fair all the time. This is just just the first earnings report, or it might be the earnings report to last year. I'm still figuring out how all these reportings and things work, and just still learning more about all these companies and things. But I think it's more or less how impressive it is compared to the other companies in this branch, because we already seen how bad it's going for Tesla, and they missed. And if for Tesla to be the only one to miss, it's even worse and even more sad. So I'm very curious about how much that is. It says on the 21st, which is today. So this came out yesterday. This came out last night. So when this video is done, we're actually going to look at the earnings report and see if they beat the earnings report. And maybe there's some new video on it. So as this plays, I'm going to try to find that myself. So let's just continue.
And if inflationary pressures don't ease and the Fed starts to sort of second guess that, I think it puts a lot of pressure on stocks.
Is there a not zero chance, or is there a zero chance we get a rate hike this year? People are now starting to talk about that again. Or is that a 0% chance in your mind?
I mean, I think that the probability is low in actuality, but the market could get concerned about it. And if it does, that would put pressure on stocks. And
January is 1 month doth not a trend make, as you know more than anybody. January's numbers were hot. We saw in the early 80s, late 70s, inflation can look like it's whipped and then it comes back up, right? We saw that again. It can be sticky, as they say. If we get more hot inflation data for February, does that hit stocks? Because now the Fed is suddenly back in play again.
I mean, I'd say it's really bad if inflation's hot in February, because how would you convince the bond market and the Fed that inflation's falling? But that would not be our central view. I think there was a lot of one-offs and even, bad seasonality that makes January CPI look hot. I think February CPI could be quite soft, but it's too early still.
Where's the best place to make money in the stock market right now?
Well, I think if someone is saying, where's the best risk reward, I like small caps because their valuations are attractive. Price to book is still 44% of the S&P. That's still the launch point where they were in 99. They're big beneficiaries when the Fed starts cutting. Expectations are low, and actually delivered earnings haven't been bad. So I think it's good risk reward, but, tomorrow...
We've been there before. The valuations you cite have been there, and people have ignored it. And I do wonder, and I'm going to tick off half the audience or more right now, if the Mag 7 sells off, the S&P is probably in trouble because they're so huge, right? But that means people are raising cash. They're selling, they're taking profits, they're raising cash. Could a Mag 7 sell-off be the best thing for the small caps?
In a way, because you're right. Russell 2000's 8% of the S&P, so it wouldn't take a lot of reallocation into small caps to make a big move. There's still $6 trillion of cash on the sidelines, and margin debt is way below where it was in 2021. So I still think there's a lot of firepower in the
I think.
So I actually did look up the earning thing, and this is today, but it hasn't updated yet on Google, so no idea how all that's getting managed and helped right now. Need a little bit more light, even though this. So I guess tomorrow I will look at this with the full update and things. As you see, they've been beating constantly, all across the board, especially towards the end of the year. So they're looking for January 2024. This says it's their upcoming earnings call, and it's scheduled for today. So it just possibly just hasn't happened yet. But it is worrisome. And it's crazy that they talk about how influential that all the Magnificent Seven is. They're all tech companies. They're all huge and things like that. They talk about how influential it is because if all of them do bad and everybody sells out of them, a lot of people's finances, especially the S&P 500, goes down a lot. They go down, everything else goes down. Like Tesla is causing a lot of it to not grow as quickly as it should right now because they're missing and going through all the struggles and problems right now. But it is crazy how much one of these companies or a few of these companies can make a difference for everybody's finances and things, especially for how much people have invested in them. So it is very scary. I'm curious about what that earnings report is going to say. I assume it's going to be beat because I haven't heard anything negative as far as I've heard about Tesla. Besides AMD possibly being a top competitor against them right now, but no way it's going to take them out on nothing crazy. But that's pretty much a wrap of this episode. Thank you guys for all tuning in. Appreciate it very, very muchly. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe again. See you guys next week. Be safe. Drop your hot takes in the comments. And, you know, peace.